Welcome to FnF Victory Road Draft League. This is going to be an introductory video to our latest season of FnF's official and mainline Draft League series, Victory Road. We are entering into our third season, and it's going to be lots of fun. Season 2 brought a lot of improvements over Season 1, and I think we're going to just keep on rolling in with the improvements in this third season here. And I'm very excited to see how it all goes. So I hope that you enjoy Victory Road Season 3. This video will be an introduction to the rules and the format. I'll try to make it pretty quick. This will be kind of a primer in case you don't want to read through the rules tab, which could be quite long since I do like to have it detailed. So without further ado, let's just jump in and take a look at the format and the rules of the Draft League, and then I'll go over a quick little overview of the document and how to use the league document. And yeah, before I start, today's date is August 4th. Signups will be opening in about a week. The applications are going to open on August 12th, and I'll reveal the start date pretty soon. So let's jump right in without further ado and take a look at these rules. So first of all, I want to take a look at the structure. The structure of the league is that it is going to start on the 22nd, organized by myself, Noel, Noob Scrub, and Edgar. So Edgar is joining our team now for this third season. Really excited to have him. He did really well in the last season, and just a long time great person on the server. So welcome, Edgar, to the organization team. There are going to be 16 slots. This is going to be the cap. We do have another draft league opening up, which is going to be the National Dex format called Seafoam Isles Draft League, and that is going to be the other league for people to join. It is opening on the same day, so this time no one will be left out. Well, maybe some people will be left out. The cap is 32 in total, so if like 35 people apply, unfortunately 3 people will be left out, but there is a much bigger space now for people to participate in FnF Draft League compared to last season where there was only one draft league. So the chances of you getting into a draft league overall are increased. Now, the length of this draft league is going to be approximately 17 weeks. It depends on how the drafting goes, but 1 week drafting is my estimate, 10 weeks of the regular season, and 6 weeks of playoffs. So it is a rather large time commitment. Do be sure that you are willing to commit to making a battle and drafting that first week, doing a battle in each week. You only need to reserve like an hour of your time each week, maybe at max, to do your battle, and maybe to team build another hour, but make sure you are willing to do that commitment before applying. The system is Swiss in the regular season, so you will not know all of your opponents at the start. Your opponent changes week by week depending on your score. The Swiss system aims to place you against people with similar scores, so the better you do, the better your opponents are going to be, and the worse you do, hypothetically, you're going to be placed with the opponents who are also doing worse. So keep that in mind as well. And then the playoffs bracket is going to be double elimination. It is going to be 8 people, and you'll have 2 chances. Double elimination basically means if you lose a set, you still have a chance one more time in the second bracket. So that's the basic structure. Of course, with scores, win-loss, and differential is how scoring is determined. Win-loss is basically how many times you won, how many times you lost. So if you won 5 times, lost 2 times, it's a 5-2 score, and then your differential is how much you lost by or won by. And then, of course, the playoffs, again, it is the 8 best players of the league from the regular season. Best of 3 sets, so when you're facing people, you have to win twice to advance onto the next round of the bracket. That means you also have to lose twice in a set to be knocked down. So lots of second chances. In last season, we saw a lot of brackets. A lot of sets in the bracket where someone lost their first match, but then won the next 2 and continued on. And then you have up to 30 minutes between battles. These battles have to be done in one sitting. So when you're in playoffs, account for that and plan a good chunk of your time to do your set. But the regular season is just best of 1, so you're only doing 1 match versus someone. And that's pretty much it for the structure, in case someone new comes in, they have to have played 4 games to go into playoffs, even if they get into the top. Otherwise, I feel like you could just win 1 game, take over a team, and then get into playoffs, which wouldn't be fair to someone who played all 10 weeks, for example. But your win-loss would be the score that I take into account. So if someone lost a lot and you picked up their team and then you won, that's going to be what I consider. So again, for the backups, potential backups. Let's move on to the draft. So this is a randomized snake-style draft, which means a list is randomized from all the people participating. That random order goes down from 1, 2, 3, all the way to 16, and then it starts at 16, goes right back up. So if you're number 16, you actually have 2 picks in a row. That's called the wheel pick. It's actually a pretty nice pick. Don't be sad if you get pick number 16. It is a good pick to have, trust me. And advanced picks are allowed, meaning you can send me or any of the other organizers your picks in advance if you want to have one of us declare that during your term when you're drafting. So the draft basically goes that you have 12 hours to say your pick. If 12 hours pass, then you will be skipped and the next person will go. And we each take turns. So it is vital that you try to be timely with this and keep up with the chat. So you pick 12 Pokemon, and this is a mixed system. It is based on tiers and also free picks. You'll have 400 points for those free picks, and I'll show you the Draft League document so you are familiar with that as well. The free picks, basically, the tiers have points associated to them, and you could pick 4 Pokemon from any combination of tiers that meets your point threshold. And the 8 tier picks are basically, you have to pick from a tier or lower. So you have 1 pick from tier 1 automatically, 1 pick from tier 2, 2 from tier 3, etc. Now this season it's different. You can pick a tier lower, but just not higher. So your 1 pick from tier 2, for example, if you want a tier 3 instead, you could just use tier 3 for your tier 2 pick. That's fine. And finally, your Z Pokemon. You get 2 Z Pokemon on your team that you have to declare 24 hours after the draft ends. The Pokemon are Z Attack and Z Any. Z Attack Pokemon can use damaging Z moves, but not status Z moves. And then Z Any Pokemon can use any Z move. Be careful when you choose what those Pokemon are, because you can't just switch willy-nilly. You will have to end up spending a transaction. So be aware that you'd want to keep that Z Pokemon as your Z Pokemon. So moving on, we also have exchanges. These are changes that you can make to your team during the league itself. These exchanges start on week 3. You have a total of 4 transactions and 2 trades. Transactions are when you exchange a Pokemon on your team for a Pokemon that is not currently drafted, and trades are when you trade a Pokemon on your team for something that a different coach has. And this could be either a Pokemon or a transaction in itself. So you can trade a Pokemon for an unused transaction. That process exactly is outlined in the rules. A lot of people were confused with it last time, but basically you trade a Pokemon to a coach, you get their transaction, so they lose a transaction and a trade. You lose a trade, you lose a Pokemon, and then you immediately lose the transaction. If you're still confused, just ask me and I'll explain it. So this is throughout the whole league. You have these 6 exchanges. Z exchanges work differently this time. You use 1 transaction and you can arrange Z crystals however you like with that 1 transaction. You don't have to do 1 just to change 1 privilege. And that is, of course, 1 time. And also for Z exchanges, if you get a new Pokemon that you want to give Z privilege to, or you exchange a Pokemon that had Z privilege, then those are exceptions that you could do for free. So you can give a new Pokemon a Z privilege or give away a Z privilege from a Pokemon you're trading for free. And then finally, these exchanges end week 10. So week 10 is the last time you can do exchanges. There are no exchanges in playoffs, so you're going to have to be very careful to make sure the team you go into playoffs with is the one you want. So that's pretty much it for exchanges. Battle rules. There are quite a few, so let's go over these. The format is Gen 7 Ubers. Last season, not a lot of people, but there are a few instances where people were confused. Do I do Gen 7 OU or Gen 7 Ubers? We're standardizing it to Gen 7 Ubers this time. Just make sure to be careful. You're going to want to make sure probably that your team is valid for Gen 7 OU, and then just switch the format to Ubers just in case anything flies by that isn't actually allowed. But yeah, the format's going to be Gen 7 Ubers this time. You must bring 6 Pokemon to each battle, and they must be level 100. So all other levels are banned. You can't bring 5 or 4 Pokemon. It has to be 6, level 100. The following clauses are in effect, and these are all actually Ubers clauses, so you don't have to worry too much about them. But species clause means you can only bring 1 Pokemon per Pokédex number. So, for example, Hypno is number 97. You can't bring more than 1 Hypno. This is important to note. Rotom forms, for example, and different forms like Alola forms count as 1 Dex number. So, it's not wise to draft, for example, Alola Ninetales and regular Ninetales, because you can't use both of them in the same battle. So that's kind of like a limitation that you'd have. So be careful with species clause. Evasion clause. You can't use moves that boost your evasion, such as double team. Pretty self-explanatory. One-hit KO clause. You can't use one-hit KO moves. That doesn't mean that your moves can't one-hit KO. It means that moves like Fissure, Sheer Cold, Guillotine, Horn Drill. I believe there's one more, but I might be forgetting it. Those moves are banned, so you can't use them. Endless battle clause means it's very specific, but it basically means that you can't set up a battle to be endless, meaning that you can't use a Pokemon that has Lepa Berry, Recycle, and Bestow, for example, so that the battle lasts forever and no one runs out of PP. That's not right. And then sleep clause is only 1 Pokemon on the opponent's team can be put to sleep at once by you. So if you use sleep powder on something, then you can't on anything else until it wakes up. Now, if something is resting or it put itself to sleep, then that doesn't count for sleep clause. Just make sure you're aware of these clauses. And all of these clauses can be found on the Ubers tier for Gen 7 on Smogon. If you don't know where to find those, just DM me or ask chat and I'll give you a link. Or just ask me a question and I'll answer. There are some bans as well. There is a ban to the item Comonium Z. That means that Como-O can't use its Z Crystal. Abilities are banned. Power Construct and Moody. All Pokemon with those abilities cannot use them. I forgot to add here that there are some restrictions. I believe that only Blaziken and Greninja have them, but the ability Protean and Battle Bond are banned on Greninja. So if you draft Greninja, you have to use Torrent only as its ability, and if you draft Blaziken, Speed Boost on Blaziken specifically is banned, so you can only use Blaziken. These are the only complex bans I have. I don't like to have complex bans, so just remember those. They're also on the draft page. You'll see them, and in the rules they're also listed too. So please be aware of those. Other rules: Megas must Mega Evolve before attacking. So you cannot use any moves in the base form. Please don't do it. Please remember to Mega Evolve. First time offense. The offenses are actually listed in the rules, but first time offense I think is, for example, you have to switch it out and you can't switch it back in for 3 turns. The second offense is a little bit more severe. We might like intervene and like, hey, you're cheating. But just remember to Mega Evolve. We might overlook the first offense if it's clear that you didn't use it advantageously, but if you did, like if you're using Protect on Sharpedo to get the speed boost to clearly utilize speed, like that's not allowed, so don't do it. Pokemon can't use Z moves unless they have the privileges to do so. So Z Attack could only use attacking Z moves. Z Any could use any. All other Pokemon should not be using any Z moves. The battle timer should stay off, of course. If someone's stalling, I'll deal with that. like taking 10 minutes to move just so that they waste time, but generally the battle timer should be off. If someone disconnects, just stay in the room so that they could come back. If the room closes after a while, then it counts as their loss, but if you leave and they come back, then it might count as your loss. So just stay in the room until I say so, or a different organizer says so. Throwing matches is not allowed. That means intentionally not trying your best for whatever reason. Maybe you want the opponent to up their score, or maybe, like, I don't know, you want an excuse if you lose. I don't know. Just do your best in every battle. I know some battles you might not be feeling it more as much as other battles. Maybe some battles you feel unconfident. That's fine. Just do the best that you could do. Throwing matches isn't allowed. Coaching during a match also isn't allowed. You should not be talking to anybody during a match for them to give you advice or for them to tell you what to do. This also applies to the chat, and please don't say anything about Pokemon, their movesets, their abilities. Like, why don't you do this in chat if you're a spectator either. Strictly not allowed. Don't want to deal with this. And yeah, just don't do it. So forfeiting a match is not allowed. If you have participated in Victory Road before, you know that I very much like people to commit to this and to be sure that they're committing to this. If you drop out or if you forfeit, it is just inconsiderate to everybody, and it leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. Obviously, there are circumstances where people can't, and that's okay. Like, I know people have personal life things, but just very much consider that you should be playing every match every week. What happens when you forfeit, not only do you mess up the scores, you mess up your own score, you mess up your opponent's score, because they might have lost that battle and maybe they shouldn't have gotten that win, or maybe they would have won by 6 instead of 3, and that could have determined them not getting into playoffs. Maybe you ruined their chances at the MVP ranking because the Pokemon that they wanted to use in the battle would have done better. You just ruin a lot of things. So just don't forfeit. Plan your battles, do them on time, and don't forfeit. This includes forfeiting in the middle of a match too. Play it to the end. Just do it. It's good sportsmanship. I don't care if the odds are 0. Play to the end. Yeah, so keep that in mind. I am very strict on the forfeiting rule. I'm not super strict on a lot of things, but on the forfeit rule, I am extremely strict. You should also not excessively talk during a match. This goes whether you're battling or if you're a spectator. And please don't shit talk. Don't be like, ha, I knew you would do that, or I packed something for this Pokemon, I'm gonna win, or something like that. Just don't do it. It's not good sportsmanship. And if you talk excessively in the chat, it could be distracting. I know that it's probably not bad intentioned, but if an organizer says like, hey, let's stop talking and focus on the battle, just stop talking. That doesn't mean you can't talk at all, but just be aware of that rule. So once you start a battle, you can't leave and edit and re-challenge. Like, you have to use a team that you brought into the battle. So if you use a team from a different week and you're like, oh no, I forgot my sets, well, too bad. You can't go back and change it. I'm not going to make any exceptions for this rule this season, because you could really quickly be like, oh, I saw that they had this Pokemon. I could really quickly just put on a hidden power on one of the Pokemon, and so I could counter it. Unfortunately, I know that nobody would do that, but unfortunately the possibility that exists, I don't want that to be possible. So double check, triple check all the Pokemon that you have before you go into a battle. And save your replays, because if neither of you save the replay, then the match will officially count as not existing, and you'll have to redo the match. And that sucks for the winner. That also probably sucks for the loser, because if the loser wins after losing the first match, which was like supposed to be the official match, like, that kind of sucks. It's like, oh, I should have lost this, but I won instead just because someone forgot to get the replay. So just get the replay and then post it in chat. Pretty easy. You just click upload and share replay at the end of the battle. So I know that this was like the biggest part, so we'll kind of fly by. The scheduling is 1 game per week. The week is going to start on Tuesday this time and end on Monday at 8 p.m. EST. This is because a lot of people did Sunday matches in Season 2, and personally, I didn't really like last-minute Sunday matches. So Monday is supposed to be a buffer day. I know a lot of people will probably still do Sunday matches. Just make sure you get your matches done on Monday, and 8 p.m. is the cutoff time. So it is not midnight this time, it's 8 p.m. because I need to sleep early for work, and I want to get all my recording done on the day before Tuesday starts. So be aware of that. Like I said, playoff games have to be completed in one sitting. So that's up to 3 games and up to an hour in between, because 30 minutes and 30 minutes. So be aware of that when you're planning for playoffs. Early and late games aren't allowed by default, but if you request in advance with a good reason, like you'll be out of town or something, I could usually make something work, but just don't do it like on Monday and be like, oh, by the way, I need an extension. Like, try your best to schedule on time, and then if things don't work out, or if you anticipate something happening early, just let me know. Scheduling should be done publicly in the Discord channel. If a match doesn't happen, I use the scheduling to determine the winner. Usually the win goes to the person who actively tried to schedule, and the loss would go to the person who messed up with their scheduling or didn't try to schedule. So when you do it publicly, that allows me to make that decision. Scrimmaging, which is practice matches, they're allowed, and you can do it with other people in the league, but please state publicly in the channel when you're doing so. This is just for transparency's sake. Like, for example, if someone asks me to battle with them and then their opponent asks me, I want it to be publicly stated that, like, no, I'm battling with the other person. So that fact is visible, and that means that I'm not leaking information or anything about the other person, because it's not really fair to battle with someone and their opponent. I know that people could do it with good intentions, but it's just not the best practice, because then maybe, like I said, that knowledge could influence your team building when you're battling and all that. So long story short, just state who you're practicing with each week, and try to schedule to have your match commentated live. It makes it easier for me as the commentator to know when matches are happening. So please try to be cognizant of that, and let me know when you're doing your matches. Other rules before we go on to look at the doc: follow the FnF server guide. That's the channel that lists all the rules of the FnF server. And proper sportsmanship is mandatory. This means no excessive self-deprecation. Be kind to others. Don't insult others in their playstyle. I'm going to be really strict on this season. When you're battling someone, I don't want to hear things like "stall sucks" or "wow, you did so bad" or something. Or also, I don't want to hear "oh, I suck," "oh, I'm gonna lose," "oh, like, why even bother trying, I want to give up." The tone and the theme of this league should be positive. It should be uplifting each other. It should be learning things. It should be trying our best. And yeah, there will be some rough moments where maybe you feel like you could have done better, or maybe you made a mistake, or maybe you're frustrated playing a playstyle you don't like. That's fine. You could be frustrated. You could be remorseful about what you could have or couldn't have done. I don't want to hear it out loud. I don't want you to inflict that on other people. When a battle ends, the winner should be proud of their win, and the loser could contemplate, but you should congratulate people on their win, or at the very least say GG or good games. There should just be a positive tone, and I don't want to hear people saying they suck. I don't want to hear people being rude to other people, insulting things about them. Everybody should respect each other, refer to each other how they want to be referred. Don't name yourself "I suck" or "I'm garbage" or something like that. Just be positive. For the most part, Victory Road has been a pretty positive league. There have been hiccups. I'm going to be really strict. Don't be negative. Just be kind, be respectful, and if you can't do that, don't apply. So information should not be leaked about someone's strategies, sets, Pokemon, etc. So If you're battling with someone and you know that they're going to bring a Azumarill, don't tell their opponent, or anyone else rather, that they're bringing a Azumarill. That's just not cool. So don't leak information. Respect others. Remember, it's for fun. It's not the end of the world if you lose. Everybody wins some, everybody loses some. So just have fun with it. And rules could be added or changed when necessary. So we'll announce that when that happens too in the announcements channel. So basically that's a primer on the rules. Hopefully I answered all your questions. If not, you could go ahead and ask me any further questions you have. And now I'm going to really quickly just show you how to use the league document. So once again, the rules are listed on this league document, where over here you can see them in the rules tab. On the bottom, I didn't go over that, but you'll see the MISC section. This shows how differentials are calculated as well, so that could be really important information for you. The directory just basically shows the total teams and coaches. Right now there's only one sample here, but it will be filled in later. The draft page shows all the tiers and the Pokemon in said tiers, plus the ban lists. And when a Pokemon's picked, it will be highlighted red, and it'll show the coach that gets that Pokemon. The point totals are on the top of the tier. You start with 400, so tier 1 will cost you 200, tier 2 will cost you 150, etc. Note that the Mega Tiers also have their own costs. Mega Tier 1 costs 50, Mega Tier 2 doesn't cost anything, and if you get from Mega Tier 3, you actually receive 50 points. So keep that in mind when you're constructing your team as well. The summary page is the main page that you'll probably be looking at. This has the standings right here, as you can see. The MVP race is listed under the standings. I can't really scroll to it right now on the screen, but the MVP race shows the top 10 Pokemon. We have the playoff standings as well. You have the playoffs bracket. The rosters are also here as well. You'll see the tiers, as well as the Pokemon of said tiers, the coaches. Under that, you'll see the record for the coaches. Let me actually see if I could. Okay. So as I said, the MVP race, the playoff standings, losers bracket, and then here you'll see all the teams that a certain team faces, plus the scores. And then on the bottom, it's going to show the overall score. In this case, 2-1, 3, which is the win-loss and the differential. So keep that in mind when you are looking at the summary page. Schedule is just going to show all the scheduled matches. Right now it's empty, but keep track of the scheduled matches using this tab. Weekly battles is going to show the battles and how they went. It'll list the Pokemon, how many kills they got, how many deaths they got, the scores, who won, who lost, the replay, the video, the two coaches that face each other, and all this information will be available for every single battle in the league. The Pokédata tab will also show the information for each individual Pokemon. It is listed alphabetically. It is also listed by differential sort. This is sort of the MVP race extended, which sorts by the differential. Coach sort, which shows by team, and then usage sort, which shows how many. It sorts the Pokemon by how often they were used. So just interesting data. Matchups is going to show which matchups occurred. Right now it's empty, but as it goes on, it'll get green, as you'll see. Exchanges are going to list the total exchanges that take place. It'll also show the exchange count, how many exchanges coaches have left. And it also shows the Z captains on the side. Winners bracket and losers bracket is just like the weekly battles tab. Same information, just for playoffs. And then finally, I have added some extra tabs. This first one is the coach team page. It shows the record and some of the information for the coach, the team, and the Pokemon on the team themselves. As you see, we have the Pokemon, their types, their abilities, their stats. On the bottom, it shows their record. It's not showing in the video, but just check out the page. I worked really hard on this, and I hope you enjoy this extra little part. And then finally, the Pokédex page, which is going to probably load really slowly for you. This shows every Pokemon and their stats as well, the abilities, the typing, and then the tier, and if they're drafted. So I definitely encourage you to look at that too if you want to get some more information on certain Pokemon. It could be pretty useful. And that's in general the Victory Road Season 3 Draft League document and rules. I hope this video clarified things for you, and I do hope that you have some fun with Season 3. Apply if you'd like. The applications are going to come out on the 12th, and then I'm looking to open up the league to drafting on the 22nd. So be aware of that. I'll post a video when applications are up. If you have any questions, please contact me. Thank you for your interest in Victory Road Draft League. Let's make this a great season. And until we start, I'll see you then.